Hey, how's everybody doing? And happy Easter to everyone who's watching on Easter. Have you ever wondered about the Easter timeline? Just looked at it and thought, wait, how does that make sense? Because we all know Jesus died on Friday, Good Friday, and I'm recording this on Easter Sunday, and he rose on Sunday, the first day of the week. But he said he was going to be resurrected in 3 days. So wait, how does that work exactly? Because he died Friday morning, right? And he was in the grave. Let me pull this up here. And he was in the grave, Friday night, Saturday, and then rose Sunday morning. So that's like he was in the grave for like 1.5, 2 days. So how does that work exactly? Looking at this, Saturday was the only real full day where Jesus was in the tomb. And that makes sense symbolically because he was resting. It was a Sabbath day, which is the day of rest. But it still doesn't answer the question, how are we getting 3 full days when he rose Sunday morning? And if we also look at from the Jewish perspective, the Jews looked at days a little bit differently. We can take this all the way back to Genesis chapter 1, where God said, God called the light day and the darkness he called night. And there was evening and there was morning the first day. So from the Jewish perspective, the day started at the evenings. So you have these two charts here, and you notice Saturday begins Friday evening because the Jews' days started in the evening. For us, days start in the morning, so Saturday begins Saturday morning. But that still doesn't resolve the problem. If you've ever looked into this, the first thing you'll come across is the idea of partial days. So let's take a look at this. Jesus was dead only a day and 2 nights. We just saw that. But in accordance with the popular method of computation, the parts of the first and third day are counted as whole days. The period during which he was to lie in the grave is here expressed in round numbers. According to the Jewish way of speaking, he was to regard any part of a day, however small, included within a period of days, as a full day. So if you go back here, Friday night, we're counting that whole day. Saturday night, we're counting that whole day. He rose on Sunday, but we're counting that whole day. So boom, there, that should work, right? We got 3 full days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're counting everything as full days. That should work, right? Well, not really. Let's take a look at what Jesus said. Matthew 12, chapter 40. For as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the great fish, so will the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. So he specifically is saying 3 days and 3 nights. So we can't just say, hey, we're counting a partial day as a full entire day, because Jesus explicitly said 3 days and 3 nights. So now you're questioning, because this is what I was thinking, how is it possible? So Jesus couldn't have died on Friday. How does that make any sense? Jesus could not have died on Friday because there's not enough time between Friday and Sunday to get 3 days and 3 nights. Even if you want to count the partial day, where is the other night? Where is that night gone? Before we go on, I gotta mention, this article is from Talk Genesis, and it's entitled, What Did Jesus Mean by 3 Days and 3 Nights in the Heart of the Earth? In order to understand this, people have pushed the timeline back. Wednesday to the rescue? Take a look at this. The idea is that Jesus was crucified not on Friday morning, but on Wednesday morning. So you get Wednesday. He remains in the tomb Wednesday night. He remains in the tomb Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday. So if you look at it from the Jewish perspective also, it lines up. It lines up even more cleanly, actually. 3 days and 3 nights. Over here, we get night, day. Boom. 3 days and 3 nights. That looks like it lines up perfectly, right? But what about the Sabbath? Let's take a look at John chapter 19, verse 31. Therefore, because it was preparation day, that the body should not remain on the cross on the Sabbath, for that Sabbath was a high day, the Jews asked Pilate that their legs might be broken and that they might be taken away. So doesn't it have to be Friday? Because that's the preparation day before Sabbath on the seventh day. Here's the explanation. The Jews had multiple Sabbaths. They had ceremonial Sabbaths. So what if Thursday was a Sabbath day, which would make Wednesday a preparation day? So now things seem to fit, right? Not exactly. Take a look at the day Jesus was resurrected. It's no longer the first day. The third day becomes Saturday instead of Sunday. And we know that can't be the case. Let's look at Luke chapter 24, verse 21. But we were hoping that it was he who was going to redeem Israel. Indeed, besides all this, today is the third day since these things happened. What things happened? Not exactly. Take a look at the day Jesus was resurrected. He rose Saturday. He rose on Saturday. So Saturday became the third day instead of Sunday. And we know that can't be the case. Look at Luke chapter 24. Luke chapter 24, he is risen. Now on the first day of the week, very early in the morning, they and certain other women with them came to the tomb bringing spices, which they had prepared. But they found the stone rolled away from the tomb. We keep scrolling down. Now behold, two of them were traveling on that same day. We're still talking about the first day, right? Let's keep going here. So they said to him, the things concerning Jesus of Nazareth, who was a prophet, mighty in deed and word before God and all the people, and how the chief priests and rulers delivered him to be condemned to death and crucified him. But we were hoping that it was he who was going to redeem Israel. Indeed, besides all this, today is the third day since these things happened. Since what things happened? He was condemned to death and crucified. Today is the third day. What is today? The first day of the week. So, it can't be Saturday instead of Sunday. The first day of the week is Sunday. So now here's the thing. If Sunday was the first day that all these things happened, that he was condemned to death and crucified, if Sunday was the third day that all these things happened, Saturday is automatically the second day. And Friday was the first day. So he was crucified and condemned to death on Friday and resurrected on Sunday. But how does that make any sense if Jesus himself said the Son of Man will be in the heart of the earth for 3 days and 3 nights? We need to look a little bit further. Does it say Jesus is going to be dead for 3 days and 3 nights? Does he say he's going to be in the tomb for 3 days and 3 nights? No, Jesus said, so will the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. What is the heart of the earth? I know we've always thought the heart of the earth means the grave. It sounds like being buried, right? He's going to be in the heart of the earth. He's going to be buried. Well, was Jesus even buried? He was put in a tomb. He was not buried underground. So let's break this down here. The heart of the earth. The heart of the earth is not found anywhere else in Scripture. It is not used in the Old Testament nor anywhere else in the New Testament. So we have nothing to relate it to. There's no context, real context here. This is significant because Christ could have used some other well-known terms and idioms to specify the grave, including the phrase under the earth. Second, while we don't have a comparative reference for this specific phrase, we do have a parallel statement. Jesus directly compared himself to being in the heart of the earth, to Jonah being in the belly of the whale. Thus, the heart of the earth and the belly of the whale are, in some sense, analogous. That makes perfect sense. This should not be glossed over. Christ's experience in the heart of the earth is akin to Jonah's experience in the belly of the whale. And interestingly enough, Jonah never died. He was captive or imprisoned, so to speak, in the belly of the whale. But Scripture does not specifically say he died. Certainly, Jesus died and was speaking of his own death and burial to some extent, but captivity seems to be the general idea of his analogy. Are you seeing where I'm going with this? Are you seeing where this article is going with this? The article goes through multiple different reasons on why Jesus was probably not talking about the grave. But could it mean hell or Hades or Sheol? Another popular theory is that the heart of the earth refers to the underworld where Jesus preached to the captive spirits in 1 Peter. The problem is this realm is never referred to as the heart of the earth. The article goes on to say, that said, I can see why some draw this conclusion. To the modern mind, earth is understood as a planet and its heart as its core. It would be a nomenclature fallacy, however, to impose this thinking on the ancient mind. This is because the modern definition of earth is not perfectly synonymous with the ancient. Earth in the Bible simply means land. So the heart of the earth should be literally understood as heart of the land. And now that doesn't really sound like something buried anymore, does it? So now, what could that mean? And that's where the author of this article has a very interesting idea. The heart of the earth is a reference to earthly judges and rulers. Deuteronomy 11:3 says, the signs he performed and the things he did in the heart of Egypt, both to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and to his whole country, so on and so forth. Moses is speaking of the middle of a specific land, the land of Egypt. As mentioned above, the heart is akin to the values of an individual or people. This will of a nation is controlled by its heart, its governing authorities. So when Jesus said the heart of the earth, he could have been talking about his incarceration. The article says, with this in mind, I would propose Jesus was not speaking of his death and burial alone when he spoke about the heart of the earth. It was included, but he was speaking more broadly of his subjection to earthly authorities. I would even take it a step further and say heart of the earth, the nature of the earth, the nature of the people of this earth. Jesus was surrendering himself to our will. He was giving himself up for judgment by the people of this earth. The rulers and Pharisees attempted to incarcerate him many times, but Jesus did not permit it until that fateful Thursday night. That's when he willingly gave himself over for judgment. That's when he entered the heart of the earth. Incarceration, judgment, crucifixion, death, and finally burial, where he remained until his resurrection on Sunday morning. Now let's take a look at the timeline here. How does this all play out? Thursday night, betrayed into the hands of sinners after dusk. Jesus was taken into captive, just like Jonah was captive in the belly of the whale. We've got Thursday night, we've got Friday night, we've got Saturday night. We got 3 nights. And we've got Friday crucified in the morning. Saturday he remained in the tomb. And Sunday he was briefly in the tomb and he arose Sunday. And it also works out perfectly from the Jewish perspective. Friday begins Friday. Saturday begins Saturday. Sunday begins Sunday. Clean 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. Now let's go back to Luke chapter 24 with this in mind. Verse 20. And how the chief priests and our rulers delivered him to be condemned to death and crucified him. But we were hoping that it was he who was going to redeem Israel. Indeed, besides all this, today is the 3rd day since these things happened. Since what things happened? Since we delivered him to be condemned to death and crucified him. So now, doesn't that make perfect sense? Taken captive, crucified. remained in the tomb, completely rested on the Sabbath day, and then resurrected Sunday morning. That makes perfect sense. Everything lines up perfectly. I personally think this is the only interpretation that I've read that makes complete sense. But please let me know what you think down below in the comment section, and I will see you all in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.